My entire life, I've waited for this. It has not been easy. It's okay. It's okay. But his journey has come my way. Marshall. Look. Bubbles. More. Bubbles? No? Yay, good job. Marshall. In the truck. In fact, it can be tough. On the car. It can be more than tough. I know it's frustrating. Everything's okay. Mommy loves you. Mommy loves you. But this feeling sets my heart on fire. Most of all, it doesn't stop my son from wanting it. Dinner? Spaghetti. It doesn't stop us from going out and making a difference. Hi, I'm Vanessa from down the street. This is my son, Marshall.
Hi, Marshall.
We heard that you had an injury, so we wanted to bring you some oils to see if that would help you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Of course. Have a great day. You got this. Go, go. Today is a new day. A day that means more than just a friendly smile. A day we go out and pursue a better world.
Looks like she's found a new friend.
I think he did too.
This year marks the 10-year anniversary of the doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation. As I reflect on our first decade, I am awed and humbled at the good that we've been able to accomplish together. Years ago, my wife Carol and I and two of our children were blessed to go on the first Healing Hands expedition. We traveled to Guatemala, where Carol and my daughter were able to participate in a Days for Girls training. I was deeply touched by how access to resources and education through personal interaction affected and empowered everyone involved. As you know, doTERRA means gift of the earth. Our name and all that we stand for carries with it the responsibility to act as committed stewards. This chosen stewardship has demanded that we pursue pure products, pure business practices, pure intention, and the pure love of humanity. From early on in the company's history, before we were even able to provide a living wage, all 7 founding executives understood that establishing a pattern of giving was central to doTERRA's success. That's ultimately what this is all about. Not personal wealth or personal achievement, but changing the world, one drop, one person, and one community at a time. American aviation pioneer Amelia Earhart once said, "A single act of kindness throws out roots in all directions, and the roots spring up and make new trees." I've seen that process time and time again through the doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation. I remember working alongside members of the community and Choice Humanitarian in Nepal as we put the finishing touches on a new school. The joy on the children's and parents' faces is something that I'll never forget. And every time I walk through the neat rows of crops planted and cultivated by our co-impact sourcing partners around the globe, I feel their pride and gratitude for the opportunity they have to participate in doTERRA's mission. I experience this same connection with our incredible humanitarian partners who are dedicated to the same hopes and dreams for the world. And I'm most grateful for you, our wellness advocates, who actively engage in good and kindness every day. It is your commitment that has enabled this mission to take root and bear the fruit of the pure love of humanity. That is the true heart and soul of doTERRA. And now, I'm thrilled to introduce you to one member of our corporate team here at doTERRA, Aria Love Jackson. She's been with doTERRA events for 3 years, and you might recognize her from Wednesday night's product reveal. Aria's traveled the world experiencing many of the things that you'll hear about this morning, and I promise you're going to fall in love with her. Now, to take us on today's journey, here is Aria Love Jackson.
With this being the 10-year anniversary of the doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation, I think we need some cake. And it looks delicious. From the beginning, our mission has been to bring healing and hope to the world by providing global communities with the tools needed to become self-reliant. Over the past decade, the foundation has donated over $30 million, with millions more donated through initiatives in many global markets. Together, we are engaging in good to empower people and communities worldwide to make positive change. So, what does that mean for you and your business? In an annual comparison of wellness advocates who are engaged with the doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation to those who are not, those who are engaged enroll 44% more in their downline and make 32% more in commission. That's really significant. Today, Australian actress and humanitarian Deborah Lee Furness will be sitting down with Emily to discuss the details of a new initiative that will benefit our most vulnerable, our children. So get cozy, we have some serious ground to cover. It will take all of us to continue the mission of the pure love of humanity. I hope that this is French vanilla, my favorite.
What does it mean to make a difference? Is it to help a neighbor? To stand up for what you believe? To work hard? To be an example? Often it means putting the needs of others above your own. It means helping before being asked, helping as much as you can, and then helping some more. Our lives won't be measured by what we make, but rather by what we give. Most companies focus on making a profit. We focus on making a difference. It's the pure love of humanity that drives it all. From building the underdeveloped to healing the unwell, educating the ambitious, and protecting the innocent. There's so much work to be done, so much difference to be made. The world is a big place, but when each of us does our part, no change is out of reach.
I wish you were here to have a slice, but don't worry, I'll eat a piece for you. You know, this past fall, I traveled to Kenya on one of our co-impact sourcing trips. One afternoon, we made our way to the Kuwegu Primary School. And while I'll never forget the warm welcome we received from the community, the songs and the dancing, that day is most memorable because of the work we completed. Arm in arm, side by side with the Kenyan people, we worked to construct a fence that would enclose the schoolyard, keeping the children safe during their school day. This was made possible by the generosity shown by you, our doTERRA family. The doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation has made such an impact throughout its history. And it means so much to me to work for a company that puts value on making a difference. Now let's take a moment to look back on the history of the doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation.
So guys, it has been 10 years since we started the Healing Hands Foundation in June 2010. A lot has happened in 10 years. Can you imagine? Over $30 million has been raised and donated in the last 10 years. So Greg, do you remember how things started? I've been trying to think about this the other day.
I think when you have 7 people who are very anxious to change the world and do good in the world, we all had lots of thoughts about it. And we had to really embed and ingrain into the DNA, into the foundation of doTERRA, this idea of being a company that gave back and contributed in many different ways. And that's part of our identity, I think, as of who we are. And
we couldn't agree on a name, remember? And you finally insisted it has to be Healing Hands.
You know, Healing Hands really sort of embodied what we tried to accomplish in physically, emotionally, in the world of healing. And so we just loved that name. And
it seems to me, I recall that the first official partner that we had was Mentors International. And I know at the time, you know, I mean, we were putting all the revenue back into the business, just trying to make sure we kept inventory that was in high demand at that point, but we felt it was important to begin this pattern of giving.
I really fell in love with the idea of microfinance being a long-term solution for healing poverty in the world and giving people a hand up and not a hand out. You know, we started our company with loans. You know, we had to get mortgages and family members to loan us the money, and so we knew the importance of loans. And you know, people around the world were just getting these loans at high interest rates from loan sharks. And so microfinance was, I really felt passionate like that could solve or at least make a dent in global poverty. And so Mentors was so good to work with us at that young time.
We started with that. Our great first project was that micro-lending fund down in Guatemala.
You went on that trip.
I didn't go on that trip. At the time, we had to draw straws.
Yeah, we could.
Who went on that one?
I went, and Dave Sterling was there, and Dr. Hill.
And a few of our great early
and
wonderful
wellness Peggy was there, and Patrick and Justin and Teresa Harding. It was a great place to start.
You know, I know we still would have done this, but I don't think we would have had the footprint and enough people embracing what we're trying to do had it not been for some of those early leaders who really got it. They got the vision, and they were the ones that really helped, as you say, embed it into our DNA.
They have, and they've taken it, that baton, and run with it.
And continue to be the heart of this whole.
Absolutely.
In fact, one of the things that I love most about Healing Hands today is our Wellness Advocate Matching Program, where they can, you know, we do a lot of different things as a company with our partners and other groups. But this allows any wellness advocate to propose a project that aligns with something they're very passionate about.
Absolutely.
And then if they'll, within their group, raise money, we'll match it up to a certain amount. And that's been one of the most rewarding things for me to watch over the years, now 10 years into this, what they're all doing.
We designed it this way. We hoped that one day that would be the case. Well, where we kind of maybe set the pace to begin with, our dream was that we would have thousands of projects going on, and it might, even though it might be hard for us to know all the details of all those projects, our dream was that we'd have thousands and thousands of wellness advocates out doing their own projects proactively.
Well, I remember around the time we were working with Mentors, Rob proposed the creation of the Rose hand lotion, and that 100% of the the wholesale value of that product. So no commissions, no PV, the company would contribute the cost of the product, and we were like, wow, that's, and for the first few years, that's how we got, you know, all these funds, and people were getting, it was a win-win. They were getting a great product, and it was the only way you could get rose oil, you know, at the time, and that was just Rob's marketing genius on that.
And can I say, speaking of that, I would have thought, we were guessing that during this COVID period that we would see a decline in the desire, or not so much maybe the desire, but the actual giving and participation, and that has not declined. And that is also wonderful to see. In fact, the need is probably greater now because of the circumstances going on around the world than it's ever been.
That's so indicative of our people. They rise to the occasion of need and giving, and I love to hear that, Mark.
The last event of the last trip that I went on was visiting one of these farmers in Kenya, and we spent the afternoon helping him mulch his plot of land for the next season, and then they invited us into their home. And it's so awesome to see, you know, the dignity and the pride they have of that ownership and what they were doing with their land. It such a thrill to make their association and just get a little idea of how we're helping.
You know, listening to you both talk about that brings back those feelings, and it's hitting me hard right now as we're talking about it. Greg, you talk about this generational difference, you know, and the footprint, and going into these people's homes and feeling of their love and their pride as they show us their little half-acre plot of ground in the backyard where they're growing tea tree and rosemary or whatever it is that they're growing. And you have to step back sometimes for a minute and remember the big difference it's making in the lives of 1, 2, 10, 20, hundreds of people.
Sometimes people ask us what the secret sauce is behind doTERRA, and you know, that ability to connect through because of a caring heart, because of a love. You know, one thing that has resonated really well in our Asian markets is this idea that when you're putting oils on people, you're really serving them. And I always talk about how doTERRA really has two products. We have essential oils and we have love. And that's what Healing Hands tries to embody, is that ability to connect with people, to provide care, to provide solutions that they need.
How many people have each of us visited with over the years who said, you know, before I joined doTERRA, I had another option or two that I was looking at. But once I came to understand your Healing Hands and your compact sourcing, it wasn't even close. I knew I had to be a part of this. Over 90% of what is donated to the Healing Hands Foundation comes in one way or another from our wellness advocates. I wish every wellness advocate every month would buy rose lotion or hope oil. I mean, so many of them already do, and when they're asked at the end of placing their order, would they be willing to donate $1 to the Healing Hands Foundation? So many of them are willing to do that. Again, there's so much more we can do. I wish we would do that on every single of the hundreds of thousands of orders that we take all the time. But it is thanks to our wellness advocates doing that, not only putting their money where their mouth is, but they're also helping fund a lot of the things that we do with our partners.
And we appreciate every single dollar donation as a company and recognize that you know, that comes at some sacrifice to everybody that makes those donations. And we also recognize that our wellness advocates are doing other things outside of our Healing Hands Foundation. But when we come together as a doTERRA family now, we're big enough and we're strong enough now that we can continue to do some amazing things, even more than we have in the past.
So, okay, Rob and Greg, after this wonderful hour of reminiscing about the early days of Healing Hands, if you could share one message with our wellness advocates, what would that be?
I'd just say, thank you. We love you. We appreciate you. We've been blessed in so many ways as a company at doTERRA. Right at the top of those lists of that list of blessings would be our association with our wellness advocate leaders and our great doTERRA customers and our doTERRA family. But just again, thank you for your support of the Healing Hands Foundation. Let's keep making a difference for good in the world.
I would say two things. One is there seems to be growing controversy around giving. Are you doing it the right way? Are you doing it in the right place? Are you doing it at the right time? I would say just follow your instincts, follow your feelings, and do what you can, where you can, and don't listen to all the voices that are out there. Just do. The second thing I would say is, what do you want to be? I would ask the question, how do you want to be identified, in your life? It won't be how much money you have. It won't be how big was your house. It won't be what kind of car you drive. It'll be what kind of person were you? And were you good? Were you kind? Did you think of others? And did you serve others in your life? And I hope that that's something that we use as motivation in all that we do.
Fatima is an amazing girl. She had severe spinal deformities that she was born with. She required several complex spinal surgeries, which ended up ultimately in rods that went all the way up the spine.
Ayudarle a ella a desenvolverse. La forma de que antes no le gustaba platicar, no le gustaba convivir con demás niños. Solo conmigo. No le gustaba platicar con nadie más.
Pasitos de Luz is a care center for low-income disabled kids. Pasitos de Luz provides 2 meals every day, schooling, education, rehabilitation, most importantly, love and care.
Cuando yo me acostaba, no podía levantar los pies, me dolía. Y ahora sí puedo.
Watching her devotion and love and gratitude and seeing what she has accomplished since we started working on her is just heartwarming and incredible.
Le daba vergüenza caminar por cómo estaba antes. Y ya en Pasitos de Luz le enseñaron a que no tiene que tener vergüenza, que su inteligencia es mucha.
Most of the time, it's a single mom left to provide for a disabled child. And without Pasitos de Luz, they would not have the opportunity to have a job, to have a roof over their head, to be able to have a meal a day. While some of the progress may seem very small, being able to feed themselves or simply walk to the bathroom or walk to get a glass of water, the impact is huge for the families at home.
La verdad sí hemos recibido mucho apoyo de Pasitos de Luz. Pasitos de Luz ha cambiado mi vida.
We're the Taylors,
We're committed to the sustainability of Pasitos de Luz.
and we are advocates of change.
Sometimes how we serve is on a larger scale. Like Emily mentioned yesterday, when we began sourcing in Haiti, we discovered that the community had a need for access to clean water. And we knew that we had the resources to fulfill that need and the responsibility to do so, because they are now a part of our family. And sometimes it's the smallest gesture that makes the biggest impact, like making a meal for your neighbor or simply reaching out to a friend. Howard Zinn once said, "Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world." Our ability to give is as unique as we are as individuals, and only you can determine the best way to give. Over the past decade, we've created a lot of great relationships and focused our giving in ways that have created a foundation for our future.
From the beginning, it was important for the founders to establish a pattern of giving. Over the years, the doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation has naturally gravitated to areas of support based on needs in our sourcing regions, as well as our communities where we live and work. When you registered for this event, you had the opportunity to participate in one of 7 areas of impact, which are self-reliance, empowering women, clean water, global health, disaster relief, supporting children, and of course, anti-human trafficking. Thank you for your support. These areas of impact form the foundation of our philanthropic work today, and they will continue to guide us in the future. If you haven't chosen to participate yet and would like to, return to the registration dashboard and add the doTERRA Healing Hands project to your cart. The doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation has and will continue to empower healing and hope, but we cannot change the world alone. It is going to take the combined efforts of all of us to bring about real and sustainable change. You are the future of the doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation. Our goal is to empower you to become advocates of change. Together, we can continue to change the world. So how can you get involved? It is easier than you think. Here are 4 ways that we can engage in good together: connect, fundraise, distribute, and match. Let's start with connect. There are things that you can do in your daily life that can impact the world for the better. The key is to identify the good things that you are already involved in and build on them. For example, since 2017, the doTERRA China team has been helping children who have rare and complicated diseases receive treatment. Recently, when hospital access was restricted due to the COVID-19 pandemic, they began collecting books to send to the children. But that didn't feel like enough. They worried the children would feel scared and lonely. So doTERRA employees and wellness advocates recorded themselves reading the stories out loud. This was a way to keep the children company as their bodies healed. Or perhaps you can relate to wellness advocate Rochelle Castor, who was concerned about the rising suicide rates, school shootings, and children experiencing anxiety and depression. After attending previous doTERRA conventions and hearing the inspirational stories of hope, she asked herself, what can I do? She started talking to friends and neighbors and formed the Mom Squad with other concerned mothers. This eventually led to the birth of the Emotional Superpowers program. Emotional Superpowers shows children how to recognize, respect, and respond to the powers of emotions. This simple program gives caregivers and children the tools to discover their true selves and combat emotional burdens. Something that makes this program special is the Emotional Superpowers book, which is the tool that parents, caregivers, teachers, and others can use to connect with children. For every book purchased, a book is donated to organizations such as those working with foster children, underserved populations, or doctors' offices. All of this because someone recognized need in her community and linked arms with others to create sustainable change. One of the easiest ways to engage in good is to support the doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation by hosting a fundraiser on social media. I've seen many of you doing this for your birthday, anniversary, and even in memory of a loved one. And as always, 100% of all donations go directly to aid. Whether it's building a bridge in Guatemala or a book drive in Kentucky, lives are changed because of you. One example of how your funds have been used is with our frankincense harvesters in Somaliland. Recognizing the community needed more than jobs, we met with our sourcing partners and community leaders to fulfill their goal of bringing education and health care to their people. It is because of you that children are in school today. And we are nearing the completion of the Sanag Specialty Hospital, which will provide critical, life-saving health care for over 500,000 people for the very first time in their lives.
Sanag is a remote region in the northern part of Somaliland. This region plays a crucial role in the global frankincense supply chain. Because of limited access and medical resources, it suffers from some of the highest maternal and child mortality rates in the world.
Our plumber told me a story about taking the bus from Arigavo to Hargeisa a couple of weeks ago, and there was a mother in the seat directly behind him with a small child. And currently, if you have any major health emergencies, your only option is to drive all the way to Hargeisa, which is 12 hours. And tragically, on this bus ride, this poor mother had a very sick child, and the child died on the road to Hargeisa, with this mother trying to get some help. We're headed to meet some of the women from the community, some of the mothers, and the head nurse at the local hospital.
The mothers in these communities desired better access to health care above anything else. The hospital this community so desperately needed is finally becoming a reality through the generous donations to the doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation and more than 3 years of tireless work.
They were very need health care, and this hospital may help community in Arigavo and Sanag region a lot.
deegaanka waa ama asaaskii ergaababa faamiligaasaan ka soo jeedaa alxamdulillaah baahi weyn ayaa loo qabay isbitaalkan.
There's so many things that are inside the hospital. I never expected to see them, with all the facilities that are basically in most of the major hospitals that you'll find maybe across the African continent. We have accidents and emergency department. We also have maternity services. Nursery within the maternity, we're going to incubate some babies that maybe they're preterm babies that are going to be born. We also have an operational theater. We also have pediatrics. We have a well-equipped pharmacy with modern medicine that is going to benefit the community a lot.
A lot of premature babies to date in the region have not made it, whereas now they have a greater chance of success.
isbitaalka waxaan u arkaa si fiican inuu wax loo baahan yahay bulshada reer Arigavo u baahan tahay oo muddo badan aan sugaynay baahiyaha hambalyaanu leenahay.
Despite what you may think, you don't need a passport to be a humanitarian. When tornadoes slammed Kansas in the spring of 2019, wellness advocate Kristen Clark and her family volunteered to distribute emergency relief kits to members of her community whose houses had been damaged or destroyed in the storm. At one home, Kristen watched a young girl anxiously open her kit and search through its contents until she found a toothbrush because hers had blown away. The disaster relief program is for you to support your community, just like Kristen did in hers. As we're understanding firsthand, things don't always go as planned. Part of our relief efforts this year have been focused on underserved areas impacted by COVID-19. In the last 6 months alone, your contributions have enabled us to rapidly assemble and distribute 15,000 PPE kits to frontline workers in 44 U.S. states and 5 Canadian provinces. Together with you, we were able to provide masks, gloves, sanitizers, and needed supplies to emergency responders and healthcare workers when items were difficult to find. Please check the bonus content on how to distribute relief kits when needed in your area. We can't do this without you. The Match program supports you in your efforts to complete a project together with a nonprofit of your choice. Whatever money you raise, the doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation will match up to $15,000. For example, wellness advocate Eileen Flanagan, founder of Girls on Fire Leaders, used matching funds to establish a program that trains, supports, and uplifts disadvantaged and abused girls in Kenya. Camps and workshops bring over 2,000 HIV-positive or HIV at-risk girls together to help build social and emotional health and leadership skills to ensure that they can heal, finish school, overcome violence, and become community leaders. In areas of extreme poverty, a false job offer or fraudulent marriage is all it takes to convince someone to travel away from his or her village and leave behind networks of support. With low rates of female literacy and employment, opportunities are rare and early marriages remain common. These factors set the stage of vulnerability. However, it is the open border between India and Nepal that presents fertile ground for the trafficking of women and girls between the two countries. Over 15,000 women and girls are trafficked across this border and into India's sex trade each year. When wellness advocate Gabrielle Thompson learned of this problem, she reached out to the doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation for matching support. With those resources, she teamed up with Free for Life, who works to identify and intervene on behalf of the victims of trafficking. There is no community in the world that is free from human slavery. I was first introduced to this devastating issue while working in the Utah Attorney General's office. It was during that time that I began my personal fight against human trafficking, taking advantage of every opportunity to train with law enforcement and organizations engaged in solutions, including doTERRA. It was because of doTERRA's comprehensive model that I was drawn to this company. One of the incredible organizations we've supported recently is Freedom Now Africa. In May of last year, with the help of doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation, they rescued 14 girls and arrested 6 traffickers in Eastern Africa. It was with the help of 8 of those original girls that a large-scale operation took place, resulting in the rescue of an additional 96 victims, nearly half of which were children. One suspected ringleader of a transnational trafficking syndicate was also arrested. 3 private NGO rehabilitation organizations are providing aftercare for all juvenile survivors. Be sure to check out the Spring Summer Living magazine for the full story. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 1 in 7 children reported missing in the United States was likely a victim of sex trafficking. And of those, 88% were in the care of child welfare when they went missing. This is not okay. At doTERRA, we want to be part of the solution.
Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to introduce to you a very important guest. So you might remember 2018, we had our 10-year anniversary. And with that, I manifested a really important person to come and join us for that, and that was Hugh Jackman. Many of you were probably there with us to feel the energy in the room. But as I sat with Hugh backstage, he talked about his wife and talked about Deb really being the wind beneath his wings. And I've always wanted to meet her. I just felt that there was something very special about Deb that I wanted to get to know. So last February, we were able to meet.
After a few false starts, we got there.
Absolutely. And Deb was able to come to the doTERRA home office. And we were able to connect really through our children and our stories and as mothers.
Which is a great way to connect.
Yes. And it was a really, really wonderful bond that was created between the two of us. But we started talking about something that was really, really important to us. And that's what I wanted to share here. So we've invited Deb to be a part of our event, is to help you understand of a very great need that's happening in our society that we want to find a solution to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Urgently.
Absolutely. So as we go there, maybe we can go back into a little bit of your history to help them understand where you got to where you are today.
Yeah, it's so interesting in life. You think you have a roadmap, you know where you're going, and just, the places you'll go, Dr. Zeus, there's a left turn that's needed. Hugh and I set out to adopt our children. We set out to adopt in Australia. And so we went along to a meeting, and at this meeting, I was so shocked by the negativity at this meeting. I saw all these hopeful people in a room wanting to adopt a child. Hugh and I had travelled throughout Europe and Asia and Africa and knew how many children would benefit from being adopted. Not all children can, but there are many children that have been permanently removed from their families. Anyway, so we went to this meeting. It was so negative, they made it so hard, and we just didn't pursue it. As it
and here
turned
you've got
out,
two parents that want to bring children into a loving home.
Yes, and
you
so
couldn't
many
do it.
kids need this. A permanent loving family is imperative for children that are abandoned.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so as it happened, we ended up coming to America, and we're living here, and we adopted our children both in America. And I would go back to Australia, and so many people that had been down the same path that wanted to adopt would come up because we were known and say, we'd love to adopt, but it's so hard.
Right.
And I said, yes, I know. I went through it. And I go, why is that? It was literally, I went, why is it so hard? So one day I was like, literally, pick up the dry cleaning, ring the Daily Telegraph. And because I was just angry. I thought, this is not right. I'm a bit of a justice freak. And I have a huge empathic pull towards children. I think we all do, anyone that's alone or vulnerable.
Yes.
Anyway, so I rang the Daily Telegraph, and I said, this is just wrong. Why is it so hard to adopt children in Australia? I know there are kids here. I know there are kids internationally, and this bureaucracy seems to sit in the middle.
Yeah.
So anyway, I ended up getting the front page, the editor's editorial, and then every news station was calling to speak to Deborah and her Action Lobby Group. And I was like, where are they? And I was just angry. I just was like, no, this is wrong. So my publicist said...
So this is just the passion of a woman at this point.
Yeah, I was just like, this is not right.
Right.
Anyway, so my publicist said she's not speaking to anyone until she speaks to the Prime Minister. And I thought, how did this day take off? I was like, wow. Anyway, as it came around, the community that had been, belabouring this issue for years with politicians trying to shift the needle came to me and said, please, you've got a platform, keep talking.
Right.
So that's what I did. I kept talking. And what I uncovered was, which a senator had done an inquiry, there was an inquiry in 2005 that we had an anti-adoption culture in Australia. And I think this was pervasive through the system, and it needed to be changed. So we set about, with like-minded people, we set up Adopt Change, which had a different name then, but now it's Adopt Change.
Right.
Adoption Awareness Week, which has now grown into Adoption Awareness Month. We're 10 years on. We are seeing legislative shifts. We have a fantastic CEO now, Renee Carter, in Australia, who is championing all these summits. They're keeping the conversation alive. Yes. We had to get rid of the stigma too. There was so much stigma. People don't realise this, of adopted children. And the anti-adoption came a little bit from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s of women having children out of wedlock. It was shamed.
Sure.
So these women were forced to relinquish by state, church and their families, and they suffered ongoing. The children were put into state care. They suffered ongoing because of the traumatic separation, and I've heard horror stories of children being abused in care. So it's just a whole ugly scenario was set up, and therefore the system just got buried.
Right.
And adoptions were just shut down because a lot of people that had been treated badly were in there going, no, adoption doesn't work because of their own suffering.
Yep.
But we know it can, and it has to, because a child does not thrive unless they are part of a family unit, not in an institution, and not continual placements in foster care. Yeah. So here we are 10 years later, and happy to say there's movement where the stigma's gone.
But you've created that awareness. And it really shows the power of one person and what you can
accomplish.
accomplish.
Never one person. As Donna Karen always says to me, Deb, it's the we, not the me.
Right.
And it's like we all need each other.
But
we all need to play a part.
People aligned with your message and understanding what that need was.
They started to understand it.
Yes.
That it was foreign. They were like adopted, and and what is that? What does that mean? And these are foreign people. And the kids also, because of the shame of the parents, the kids took on the shame.
Of course.
So that's in their DNA. So
there was
why
something
should
wrong with
these
them.
children be carrying this?
They weren't wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every one of us needs to feel we are precious. This is what my mentor, Karen Purvis, who works in Texas, she was this great mentor, and she worked with children from a hard place. And she said, oh, darling, all kids need to know they're precious. She's so sweet.
It's so true. But what we can do when we know we're wanted, we're valued, we're loved, right? Then the sky's the limit. But so many children don't have that opportunity.
And they have no self-esteem.
Absolutely.
And what happens when you have no self-esteem? You can't be a productive member of the community. There's all the risks, depression, anxiety, all that stuff.
So you've gone from creating really awareness in what was broken in the adoption process in the system. And not only you started in Australia, but now you've gone global with that.
In Australia, there was a broken system that needed to be fixed.
Right.
And then that brought me, after my year of addressing all the issues around that and trying to change that, it brought me to the place of, why are there so many children that are adopted? So that's when, with a group of like-minded people in New York, we said, we've got to go to the root cause of this. We've got to go the reason why. Why are there so many children? And, there's many reasons, but the biggest reason is poverty.
Right.
So you need to dive in there and address that, because people think, people just get rid of their children because they don't want them. No,
that's not necessarily
they think
the
they're
case.
getting a better opportunity by putting them in an orphanage. And there's all the data in the world that said orphanages, children do not thrive. Orphanage, institutionalized kids suffer from lack of development of physical, mental, emotional, cognitive growth.
Right.
It's damaging.
That really brings us to an issue that there has been a light that's been shined on it just lately, and that is the exploitation of children. And it's pretty horrific. And a lot of times we look at that as a modern-day slavery that's happening. But a statistic that I just recently saw that really scared me was that 60% of the children who are exploited come through the foster care system.
Absolutely.
When you look at the foster care system, these children that come through, if they're not able to be adopted when they're very young, the likelihood of them being adopted from the time they're 8 on is pretty minimal.
Decreases every year.
Pretty minimal.
And the outcomes for these kids, the data is there. Homelessness, drug abuse, suicide. The outcomes are so negative. So that's why I always say, to the politicians, we haven't got time to sit around while you make up new policies.
Right.
Every minute counts that a child is not in a permanent family.
Right. Well, you look at, this is the next generation.
Yeah.
Right? This raising up our nation.
Yeah. So not only protecting them, to protecting our society, this is going to be a dysfunctional group of people. And
absolutely,
with all the foster care, the amount of money that taxpayers pay into propping up the foster care system or institutions, if they put that money into family preservation and propped up the family, the support, you've got healthier families, healthier children. It's just such a better outcome that we get in this place. That's why people, well-intentioned, will donate to orphanages. No,
they don't understand.
They don't understand. Put it into what you at doTERRA work with community development. Prop them up, sustainability, and these people won't have to relinquish their children and have ongoing suffering. I'm sorry, any mother that relinquishes a child, you're suffering for the rest of your life.
Oh, the mother's suffering, but so is the child.
Oh, absolutely. And people don't realize that either. It's a primal wound. It's part of our development is to bond with our mother.
Right.
And when that's broken, it sets off so many diabolical health issues.
Right. We have 25% of the children that come through the foster care system who age out.
Yeah.
And these children are the most vulnerable children that exist on the planet because they're easy access to those predators that are online. You don't have a loving family who's looking after them to make sure that they are protected.
And haven't been taught.
Right. And oftentimes when they age out, they end up on drugs, in prostitution, they become trafficked. And it's pretty horrific what happens. They really aren't given an opportunity to thrive in life. And they've never been taught that they matter.
They need someone to mentor them, and these predators can smell the vulnerability. They know the vulnerability. People don't realize just because you're 18, I mean, my 18-year-old's not ready to go out in the world. He's
Absolutely
still,
not.
We're still organizing them.
Right.
Then that is so important. I don't think you can create a system unless you've got a pre and post support in place. And for like at Hopeland, we partner with Google. We've got for these kids to go out and do decoding classes. So we set that one thing up, but we want to reach out to all corporations to have mentorships, to have internships. Even in civil society, in the community, you can mentor a child, give them the, teach them values, teach them to think well of themselves.
Yes.
They need those lessons that we put onto our children.
Right.
And they don't have those tools.
Those
and they're
basic
lost.
fundamentals.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a great group of Australian girls in LA, I know, just set up a Sense of Home, which is this great initiative. Like, these are little initiatives that anyone can set up.
Right.
So that when a kid ages out, they come over and they have a whole inventory of couches and chairs and da-da-da, and they set them up so they create a beautiful environment and they feel special and looked after. And it's little initiatives like that from just the community.
Right.
That's why I say we can't just rely on our politicians and leaders. We all play a part.
Right.
A little old lady can sit there and read a book to a kid on a Sunday afternoon or something.
And just that little bit says, you're important.
You're important. You're precious. We see you.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we look at the horrific situation that is plaguing our society all over the world today, as you and I got together back in February, we got really excited about coming up with a solution for this.
Yeah.
Because when you look at what doTERRA is doing, we're very much involved in anti-sex trafficking efforts.
Yeah.
We're very much involved in the placement and rehabilitation of these children and women who have been captured, right, and then taken into society so that they can thrive. But we've really got to go to more of the root cause and how can we protect this from ever even happening? These precious, precious children, how can we protect them and give them an opportunity for a normal, happy, healthy life?
Yeah. See, it's so hard after damage is being done. So I love why you at doTERRA are addressing the healing aspect.
Yes.
Because after there's been trauma, that to me has to be so important because once you've had trauma, that can plague you for the rest of your life. So that part to me is really important.
Yes.
I love that doTERRA is using your platform to, help this community. I mean, I think what you guys is amazing. I hope you're a template for all the corporations because I know it's not just one section of doTERRA. I can see when we went out to meet with you guys, it's like, this is a big deal.
It's
this
the
is
heartbeat of who we are.
It is. It's a big, important part of it.
Yes.
And I love that, that you're addressing that by going further downstream. That's where the both of us are working to alleviate poverty. This is the biggest reason why all this happens.
Right.
You can call it neglect, but neglect is a fancy word for poverty.
Absolutely.
Because you've got no options, you've got no choices.
Right.
And a lot of times there's no education or understanding. So that's the root cause. And by us partnering together, we go in with there. Like I co-host the Global Citizen Project in Central Park every year in New York. So my husband and I work there. We just do the outreach as much to affect poverty alleviation because that's the biggest reason.
So Deb, we've got these kids and they're classified as unwanted kids. And they go through the foster care system. 25% of them are aging out and becoming exploited and really have no chance to survive out in the real world. And as we talked, there's a solution to that. And we need to get to the root cause. So I'd love for you to talk about your vision for that solution and what we've been able to prove is helping these kids.
Well, we have to go back before they get to that aging out, before they are vulnerable to predators. So that's what we're hoping to do with Hope to Belong. We are putting out, we're an outreach to the community saying, we need you. We need foster carers. We need adoptive families.
Yes.
We need community to mentor, to take an interest in these children. They have travelled a troubled path, but as I say, as humans, we love to nurture. We want to care for. So with our outreach, we're hoping the community will take this on. We can't wait for our leaders to change policies. We need to take this on. We have to realise this is a huge problem.
This is our responsibility.
It is, because
every one of us.
We're going to create a very dysfunctional society because these children, if they get that far, they have not been taught anything, they have no values, they have no self-esteem, and they're going to go out there. And as we said, the trajectories, it's prostitution, it's homelessness, and, it's going to create a very problematic society for them and for us.
Right. But you found a way to humanize these children.
Yeah.
And to get them placed into a loving home.
Well, it's like, I read this philosophical thing where, you have an enemy and you think of them, but you put them in front of you. It's very hard to hate someone when they're right there and you see their vulnerabilities, their foibles, their challenges. So
and everything they have to give.
Yeah, and so you humanize them, you bring them closer. This is my authentic human self. This is who I am.
Right.
And we're saying we need help. They need to be parented. They need to be taught.
Yes, they do. They need to be loved.
Yeah, yeah.
You're putting them in front of faith-based groups.
Yeah.
And now you have the whole community that's coming together to support this process. Not only the families who are adopting them, but the communities around them that are supporting.
The communities supporting the families, which I know when I went to my church and I got married, he said it takes a village. And and I remember I always remembered hearing that as we were saying our vows, that we need you all to support them.
Yes.
So it's like when we bring a family together, it takes the whole community to support them.
Oh, absolutely.
Help, if you're taking out a child, have a neighbour down the street maybe babysit one night or knit a cardigan or bring over a hot meal. I mean, it's so minimal and simple. Everyone can play a part.
In the success of this child.
Yeah.
And you have a 99% placement rate with every single video that's created for these children.
Yes.
99%.
Pretty good odds.
It's pretty amazing. Yes. And now these children brought into a loving home have every opportunity.
It makes a huge difference, and the data's all there. The minute that they go from institutional care or foster care, it completely changes.
So the risk of exploitation decreases
Totally. All the risk completely go downwards.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. So I love that we get to that root cause and put our arms around these children.
Together.
It costs,
in unity.
Yes, absolutely.
And it does
takes all of us to do this. Costs about $1,000 to create each video. So for $1,000, a child gets placed into a loving home.
You change a child's life.
Right. And we get to do that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And the data's all there.
Yeah.
It's proven.
Yeah.
It works.
Absolutely.
By humanizing these beautiful children. I love your heart. I was so drawn to you before we ever met. Hugh told a story at our 2018 convention about you, and he talked about you driving down the street in Australia, and there was a homeless person.
It was Canada.
Yeah, was it Canada?
Yeah.
And you were in a hurry, and Hugh just wanted to get wherever it is you were going, and you said, no. We're turning around. We're going to go get him a meal. We're going to make sure that he's taken care of. That's your heart.
Well, I can't. You just. It's a knee jerk. I mean,
yes.
I saw a guy the other day. The same thing. It's like my heart breaks. They're so broken, and they've got no one there. They've got no one there. So but we had to drive for about 20 minutes. He was getting really mad because we couldn't find him, but we did.
He said you drove around and around.
I was so happy giving him the sandwich.
Yes.
One time I was at a supermarket in Los Angeles, and I saw the guy coming out. I said, "I'll get you on the way out." And as I came out, and I got him a hot meal of chicken.
Right.
And as I gave it to him, he goes, "What is it?" I said, "Chicken." He goes, "I'm a vegetarian." I'm like, "I'm sorry."
But here's your meal.
I tried.
Yes. What I love so much about you and Hugh is that you are so focused on family. Your children being here in your home, your children are your everything. And that's what connected us together.
Yeah.
Right?
We both talked about our kids.
Absolutely. And some of the pains that go along with motherhood.
Lots of hurdles, lots of challenges. My kids have made me smarter than I could ever have been.
Most definitely.
And, and through my journey with adoption, I mean, I didn't set it. That wasn't me, like the advocate to go out there. It just, I feel like it was presented to me, and I feel like I was just sort of dragged along, but it's had an impact, which feels great.
But you look at Ava and Oscar, who have been brought into a loving home, who have been giving everything they need in order to know that they can do anything they set their mind to.
Yeah, that they're loved.
But what if you and Hugh hadn't come into their lives?
Yeah.
What if they would have been one of the statistics? Just imagine what their lives would look like today.
Think of it. Can't better think of it. But that's what I do. When you have adopted children, I think you can look at any kid. That's why I look at all kids. I go, that could be my child. I was in Africa, and I see all these little faces, these kids that are alone.
Absolutely.
And I think that could be my child.
Yeah.
I do look at them as ours.
Right. Of course.
Which is why we, try to outreach. And my kids are involved in this too. I mean, both my kids. Ava's already said to me, "I think I'm going to adopt when I grow up." They're aware you know, the need to give back and
Yeah.
their privilege and, you know, opportunities, and that they are both very active in the community.
Well, I am so excited about this initiative that we are
Me too.
partnering with.
Yes.
Right, because that means we get to give so many children the opportunity that Ava and Oscar were given
Yeah.
to come into a loving home.
But what's great, that's what I always say, it's the we, not the me, with the community.
Yes.
By, you know, someone said, you know, we sort of want to change the world, so you want to take on the big whole thing. It can be overwhelming, and so many people want to take on the whole thing, and then you get so overwhelmed, and you can't follow through.
Right.
By joining with people and all taking our little piece, like we do the advocacy and the campaigning and the innovative solutions, and you're doing the healthcare community and preservate and healing these kids. By us all doing our little piece, we've got more chance of success, and we can multiply our impact.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And I know our wellness advocates are very much aligned with this initiative.
Great.
Right. They're all about protecting the children.
Well, a lot of moms,
Right.
yeah.
A lot of moms.
Yeah.
A lot of passionate moms.
Yeah.
Right. And how can we, one, protect them from exploitation and from being a statistic as being trafficked, but also to how can we make sure we wrap our arms around them and make sure that they become a loving part of our society, and we can really raise up the next generation of leaders.
And they can be a productive part. They can give back.
Yes. So when I walked into your home, I noticed you had a diffuser going. So I'm sure people are going to want to know, what's your favorite oil?
I love frankincense.
Okay.
I'm a bit of a frankincense and myrrh girl.
Right. I am too.
I like dill.
Oh, you mentioned that when you came to our office.
I like that sort of aroma.
Right.
Eucalyptus, I have to. I'm Australian.
Oh, of course. Most definitely.
Oh, look, how can you pick one? You know, I have been an essential oil person for years and years. And as I said, Australians, we were onto this years ago.
Yes.
And you know, like I think we have to. I'm a creative, and I think you need to have all the senses, like sight, sound, and people neglect the smell. I mean, I want to take that into hospitals. That makes people feel better. Just having that, it's an enhancer of health.
Right.
So, you know,
I love
we should
that
attend
you're
to
so
all the
holistic minded.
Yeah,
right?
but it
We
should be
share
all
that
the
in common.
senses. You know, sound, visual. Like as you walk in my front door, I don't know if you notice, I've got a little thing there that is a chirping bird sound.
Okay.
So you sort of get
Bring it
sort
to
of
come into
audio
nature.
already.
Yes.
I have the essential oils.
Right.
And then I have a audio visual piece of art. So all your senses are attended to.
I love it. Yeah. Hugh said anytime you move around, right, when he's out filming, he called it a vaporizer.
Yeah.
So that you can set that ambiance, whether you're in a hotel room or whether you feel like you're at home.
But it's not even just home. It creates a bit of magic. I like creating magic.
Yes. So we've been talking about the hearts of mothers, right, and our love for our children. But we have a good friend that can't be with us today, but he's actually in Utah visiting, Chris Tomlin.
Fantastic.
He's an amazing Christian songwriter, singer, and someone that I have just admired for so long. And he's also equally as passionate about this cause as we are.
Because he's a proud dad too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would love for us to look at it through a father's eyes.
Yeah.
So we'll kick that over to Chris. But thank you so much for being with us, Deb.
Absolute pleasure.
Yes.
It's great to talk about our shared passion.
Yes, and I'm excited for what the future holds.
Totally.
Yes.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Tomlin here, and so sorry I could not be joining you guys in New York. I'd love to be with you. And so thanks so much for letting me join you guys, though, and inviting me and my organization, Angel Armies, to be a part of this incredible organization, Hope to Belong. I love everything that this is about, and why that's so important to me is, well, one of the things we say at Angel Armies is we want to be a voice for the vulnerable, and especially for vulnerable children. And like you, I believe every child deserves a loving family, a home. And it breaks my heart that so many children don't have that. And I love that Hope to Belong is every day waking up striving to help children find homes. You know, I'm a father myself, and I got 2 little girls, and what a joy that is. And one of the things that being a father has shown me is that it was an epiphany one day. I just woke up and thought, you know, this is the one thing in life that I'll never stop. You can never stop being a dad. You can never stop being a father. I thought of all the things in life, right? There's everything, your job, anything, you can stop doing it. But being a dad, you'll never stop doing it. You're a dad forever. And what an incredible responsibility. What an incredible thing. And to look at these precious children and think, wow, I have a chance of shaping them and and that's just so beautiful. And I'm so grateful that the day I became a dad, man, it unlocked something in me that I had no idea was even there. That love, that unconditional love. And I know for those of you who are parents, you feel the same. And so I have this little song that I've been singing for years, sung this song all over the world, and I love the heart behind this song and what it really means. It's called Good, Good Father.
It's who you are, it's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am.
Thank you, guys. God bless you.
There is so much to be done, but I'm confident and hopeful that we can accomplish it together as we continue to pursue what's pure. We are a force of almost 10 million determined to achieve many goals, and we need you to be advocates of change. We've updated the doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation website to give you everything that you need to make a difference. Have you checked it out yet? Well, go on and do that right now. Wait, we're not quite finished yet. Let's reflect on 10 years of engaging in good. And next year, we'll all be together, and I'll even share my cake.
I've tried climbing the ladder, looking for something that matters, fighting for things I could own, finding I'm all alone. I've learned it's not what we get, I think it's more what we scared, that makes us sleep safe and sound. So I'm with friends on the ground, And I could give my hands to you, be proud just to stand with you. There's not much one man can do, but I could give my hands. I'm not much for attention, nothing special to mention, but I'm still gonna try, help somebody get by. I'm just taking a chance here, and I don't have all the answers, but maybe something I do could make it better for you. And I could give my hands to you, be proud just to stand with you. Not much one man can do, but I give my hands. We may not have a lot, but nobody ever said it needs to cost much. Maybe a little human touch is enough. And I could give my hands to you, I'll be proud just to stand with you. Not much one man can do.